And you know, this is the exact point. I'm so happy it spits this out. Like I've prepared the question, but I obviously don't know what it would answer. So it says you're missing one thing. Most people overthink their offer for weeks. They go back and forth on what to include, what to charge, and how to describe it. And doing so, they end up with something so vague that it really speaks to no one. I've built offers multiple times for myself, for multiple clients, and in fact, I just did so last week. So today, I'm bringing you on the journey where AI helps me pick a niche, make the offer, and create the outreach plan and script that I could use if I were to start a business back when I was 19 years old and basically had no experience. Quick disclaimer though, last video was pure discovery. It was finding the niche, understanding how to use AI when you're new to AI, when you don't really know what to say, how to ask AI to help you use AI. But in today's video that's about the offer, it's a lot more structured, and I've actually already written out the questions so that I can provide you with even better questions that you can use to get your business off the ground. And quick FYI, this value equation is from Alex Hormozi. It's his framework, and it's one that I've used over and over and over. It's super simple and really easy to get started with. All right, so what you see is kind of where we left off last video. This is a short snippet that I could have taken and I could have gone to a business and tried to sell this. But instead I want to dive in and I want to work a bit more on the offer so that I know it's not just something I could offer them and maybe some would say yes, but I'm actually going to be presenting a no-brainer deal to them that they have a much higher likelihood of wanting to say yes to, that I can get a higher price for. Also something that will educate me on, okay, what are actually the skills that I will need? All right, so the first question is, based on what you know about my background and value statement, who is the most specific person that I should target, give me a detailed avatar, what's their situation, blah, 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 what do they actually want? Okay, we want to know who is the person that we're reaching out to. Okay, so let me just skim through this. Thomas is 52 years old, senior partner, small law firm, maybe 4 to 12 employees, couple, blah, 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 office manager, situation, firm been running for a while, adopted 365, COVID, force, someone said, IT company, makes good money, isn't struggling, increasingly frustrated, files are everywhere, some stuff in SharePoint, individual drives, nobody knows what the current version lies, onboarding, security, waste his own time, and the billing hours quite relevant. He had that big IT company at some point, maybe still does. And this is what he's tried before. They charged a lot, took ages to respond, and every time he called them, it felt like starting from scratch with a new technician. Okay, so whenever you're trying to get into a new niche, what really matters is the audience. You could have the best offer in the world, but it would still lose if it wasn't in front of the right audience. Okay. So this is some of the stuff he's already tried. He's thought about hiring a tech person part-time, but it feels like a bit of an overkill. He doesn't need someone 20 hours a week. What he actually wants, he doesn't want IT support. He doesn't want to learn about this stuff. He wants to stop thinking about technology so he can just focus on his job. And I think this is a key point, right? Oftentimes people, they don't buy stuff to learn about it. They buy other people's help or time or a service so they can get rid of it in their own time. So they don't have to do it anymore, right? Why do you buy video editing services? It's probably not just because you don't like editing videos. Yeah, sure, that's part of it, but it's also to save the time of doing it. Again, yeah, he buys certainty and time. If you'll talk to him, okay, that's your buyer. Does this feel real and tangible enough? It feels real, but I would like you to highlight a bit more of some of the painful stuff, just so I really know what to speak to, what really grinds his gears, and what's he most likely to respond to in terms of like his biggest concern. I would rarely say that you should accept the first answer that you get. Like, part of critical thinking is really diving into something. Despite how good my general Claude AI is, I still correct it on a daily basis. The file case isn't just annoying, it's genuinely costing him money and credibility. 2 months ago, his firm sent the client an outdated version of a contract. The client noticed, it was embarrassing, had to apologize personally. Ugh, horrible. So now it's also status and externally, thing that he's worried about but won't bring up first. Data security is a big one, handles confidential client every day, contracts. He knows the regulation exists. He knows, expects him to protect his data. This is a big thing, right? I mean, one thing is most of these big companies know what their duty is, what their responsibilities are externally, but it's another thing for what they do behind doors and how they keep up with all of that. And that's why also, as AI is becoming increasingly pervasive in everything that we do, that security kind of has to stay at the top of the priority in all companies, because it becomes so much more important who and what has access where and to what and in which ways. If you want something good to go into that's guaranteed over the next years, then cybersecurity. The frustration that bills slowly, he's paying for 365, but it maybe uses 20%. Okay, great. All right. Then my next question is, for this specific person, what is their dream outcome? This is the first part of Hormozi's value equation. Not what they think they want, but the actual result that would change their life or business. What does the success look like for them? Okay, so if I were to stand in front of Thomas to say, what's the best case scenario that could help, or that could happen if we were to work together? That would be the dream outcome. And again, while the AI runs, what you gotta understand with all of this, the reason we're working on the offer, the reason we're working on the niche, understanding the avatar, is the better we, as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, can communicate in language that proactively articulates the pains that person is experiencing and seeing for themselves, the more they will feel like that we can actually also help them. Right? You might go and say, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But if none of what you're saying kind of matches the perceptions and the experiences the potential customer has, they're never going to put that equation sign between the problems they have and the solutions you provide. Okay? That's why we need to speak the same language. On the surface, he'd tell you he wants everything just to work, but that's not specific enough to be useful. Let me describe. Okay, Monday morning, new hire starts. By the time sit down, their email works. They have access to exactly the right folders. Teams is set up. Simple one-page guide. How the systems are organized. Bennett didn't have to do anything. Thomas didn't hear about it. It just happened. And I think here the just happened part means less effort and time, which is something we'll get to later. Junior lawyer gets an email from the association about data protection requirements. Instead of feeling a knot in his stomach, he forwards it to you and says, are we covered? Ooh, this is a big one. Like the feeling of security, is it taken care of? Okay, in concrete terms, Thomas's dream outcome is 0 hours per month spent by him or Bendit on tech issues, full confidence that if an auditor or client asked, is our data secure? The answer is yes, and he can prove it. And this is the stuff, right? This all sounds good. Free audit is the most powerful trust builder. Yeah, that's what's going to convey that I actually know what I'm talking about. Certification, structured documentation, start with a small commitment. 1 or 2 testimonials will eventually be worth more than. So if you're completely new to this stuff, you've never tried to start a business before, and you've chosen a niche where you don't have previous experience, I can only recommend working for free the first 1, 2, 3, 4 times, okay? And I learned this from Hormozi, but the experience you get in working for free and getting kind of all the first issues out of the way and getting that experience will be so much more valuable to you than getting paid a lower price and continuing just to try to get someone to pay you without proof. And there's a much bigger chance that the people you help for free will have a more positive experience. They're kind of your guinea pigs. And then when you take that experience, those reviews, your testimonials, whatever you get, and you go to the next people, it'll be so much easier to get them to pay you, okay? If you haven't done free work, can highly recommend. The honest bottom line, Thomas won't trust you because you're impressive on paper. He'll trust you because you show him something real in the audit. Again, yeah, we want to show people that we can help them. Does this give you enough to work with? No, that does make sense. Now it's already hinting at, does this give you enough to work with, or do you want me to start building out the actual materials like the audit checklist, the one-pager, the outreach emails? This is fantastic stuff. And this is what AI can do for you. Like, it's predicting what I would maybe want next, even though this is something we're getting to in the questions. The next question is, what's a realistic time frame for this person to achieve this result? And what does their actual weekly commitment look like? Be specific, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Just to make sure I'm answering this right, this question, are you asking about what Thomas, your client, would need to commit to in terms of time and effort during your engagement? Or are you asking about your own? So now it's asking a question, so it's not making assumptions, and we love that. What I'm asking is, I essentially want to reduce the time and effort it takes on Thomas's side as much as possible, so that he does have that feeling like, oh, the stuff just happened on its own. It didn't require his involvement. And if an email like, are we covered, comes in, I can say, yeah, that's been taken care of. Like, I want to be in that position so that I can communicate that to him, but what does that require on my side? I want to deliver that seamless and visible experience to him. And then it's giving me a bunch of like, what would it actually take for me to do this? 1 to 2 weeks of working with Thomas. The heaviest part, you need this amount of hours, you need this access, credentials, structure, then you fix it, build a clean folder involvement, ongoing monthly service, what the actual week looks like, proactive checks, reactive support. But here's what you need to be honest about. To actually be the person who can say, yeah, that's been taken care of, you need to stay current. Yeah, realistic picture with clients. Key thing to communicate to Thomas isn't any of this detail. He doesn't care about your process. What he cares about is, after a short setup period, you will spend less than 1 hour per month on anything tech related. Yeah, that's what he wants and cares about. Now it's asking, want me to start building the actual deliverables, outreach email, audit checklist, 1-pager, offer document. But we're not there yet. The question is relevant, but I have one more question first that's going to help us build out everything that we're going to deliver and do, not just how we're going to package it and communicate it. So with that in mind, given everything we've established about the dream outcome, what builds belief, and the time and effort commitment, what methodology or step-by-step process could I take this person through to get them from where they are to that result? Break it into phases and steps. And this is the exact moment where we go from an idea to something that I can give or do for someone. Okay, this is where it becomes tangible enough, where it goes from idea to actionable and executable. While it's going, you kind of notice how also before it said, you want me to break this down into the audit, the outreach email, and the 1-pager offer. And that might have been good. I could have just said yes to that, but by giving it more specific instructions about taking everything into considerations, presenting everything that I would need to do or deliver to get to that result, and then break it into phases, I'm being a lot more specific about what I want the AI to help me with, not just what output I want. And besides the exact questions that you get from this video, what I want you to notice is how you can use the AI in ways you maybe have not thought of before. Okay, phase 1, the diagnosis, free audit, screen share, you're not selling here, you're diagnosing, you have 2 former employees, account still active. Thomas job during phase, show up to 1 meeting, give you temporary admin access. What this accomplishes, didn't know half of them existed, now we can't unsee them. Phase 2, the foundation. This is probably the majority of the work. And then you have phase 3, the handover. Okay. Phase 4, invisible operations, which is kind of month 2 and onward. What Thomas's experience feels like across the phases. Okay. That's the full methodology. Oh, I didn't realize it was this bad. He barely notices it happening. He gets a couple of short updates. This is more organized than anything we've ever had. Why didn't we do? Okay. Now, if you're watching this and you're going, oh, this is so ridiculous, like this is just stuff on a monitor, you're just seeing this, nothing's happened yet. Yeah, obviously. Okay, that's not the point of this. The point of this is I'm aiming to get to a point where I know exactly who I help, what I help them achieve, how I help them do it, what I need to do to get there, who I need to reach out to, how I can reach out to them, okay? I'm using the AI to make all those steps a lot more approachable. That's the whole purpose of these videos, okay? I still need to go out and do it, right? It's not like this has solved that part. Maybe it will be in the future, who knows? But for right now, this just helps you along the way with a lot of that identification work that you might not have known where to begin with. All right, at this point, we've got the what, the who, the commitment, the how, but there's still something missing that most people would probably have skipped. And what it is asking the AI, okay, what am I not seeing? It's so easy to have your questions or your prompts prepared beforehand, but there will still be stuff that you have not thought about or that you have even forgotten, okay? So putting in a question like this, which is, I've got my niche, I know who I help, I know what I help them do, I know their pain points, but what's the thing I'm not seeing about how these fit together? What am I missing? And how can I make this even more obvious as a no-brainer? That's the whole purpose of this. Let's see what we get. And this is the exact point. I'm so happy it spits this out. Like, I've prepared the question, but I obviously don't know what it would answer. So it says you're missing one thing, and it's the thing that turns everything we've built from good service into I'd be stupid not to say yes, okay? You haven't framed this in terms of what it cost Thomas not to hire you, okay? And I've, secretly kind of thought a little bit about this, but this is exactly one of the selling points, right? We've thought about his pains, we've thought about his concerns, but we haven't explicitly, I haven't in the exchange with the AI, talked about what's it costing him not to fix this now or have fixed it before now, right? And so it's quite easy math, right? If you look at the billing rate, if you look at the other staff hours, if you look at my retainer, it's pretty easy to see how he could make some money eliminating those concerns and also just, increasing security in this case, in this imaginary case. So here's what to change and how you communicate this. You stop leading with what you do and start leading with what it's costing him right now, not I organize your 365. Instead, your firm is probably losing 10 to 15,000 kroner a month in wasted time or tech issues, and you might have former employees who still have access to data, which is also not great. Okay, here's the structure of a no-brainer like this. Here's what it's costing you right now, the pain. Here's what it looks like when it's fixed. Here's exactly how we get you to that place, okay? Boom, love it. Now here's the final question that I'm going to ask before we tie everything together, okay? Now take everything we've built and structure it as an offer stack, meaning a list of solutions. What exactly does the customer buy? List all the components, the deliverables, the support, make each item feel like a very specific part of their problem and format it so it reads like something you could say on a sales call or have on a website. And this is where we go from thinking of solutions to different problems to actually having like this stack of different things that we solve for them, including all the concerns we want to be part of that solution. Now, while it's building this, I can mention that obviously, I'm recording this video. It's taken a little over half an hour so far. I've had the specific questions, right? But in your case, if you were sitting with this, like I would schedule an hour and a half, 2 hours to really diving into criticizing, being more specific with what you're looking for, what kind of outcome you would want on each point across the list so that you end up with a lot more detailed and relevant end product, in this case, offer that you can go sell. Because more preparation is not always equals to better result, but obviously if you can better communicate to that specific avatar, then that will likely yield a better result, okay? So when you sit down with this, don't just put in the question and take the immediate answer as given, okay? You're likely not going to get very far doing that. But hey, look what it even pulled up for us. Okay, let it run. Okay. So your firm's technology fully handles so you never think about it again. Complete M365 setup security management service specifically for small law firms and accounting practices with 5 to 15 staff. That's pretty specific. What this is already costing you between partners and staff losing time to file confusion, manual onboarding, this much. The investment in fixing it all is a fraction of what you're already losing. The new security and systems audit. Here's everything you get: full 365 admin review, risk and inefficient report, recommended action plan, the foundation. Okay. Now, what all of this is everything not necessarily just like this that you would present to a client, but now you know, okay, here's the entire thing that I'm going to deliver and do for someone. What I'm going to do based off of this is I would trace back through the chat, but I would look at, okay, what practice do I need to go through? Like, do I need any certificates? Do I need to take any training? What do I have to do to prepare to be able to do this? And then obviously I would take care of that first and then start the outreach, the advertising to actually get a client with this. But now I know what am I going to do? And I think a common issue for entrepreneurs, people who want to start a business, is they don't know what to do or what it includes or what it's going to cost and why, the reason behind all of that. And the purpose between last video and this video is showing you how you can use AI from a complete zero starting point and get to something that's ultra specific that you can immediately take action on. Because remember how much I emphasized, getting a first draft and taking action in the first video? It's exactly the same with this, okay? You don't need to spend more than 1 or 2 or 3 hours then for you to be able to go learn and test. Any more than that and you're likely wasting time. And if you would rather put off getting paid, then fine. But then that's on you. So that's it. 6 questions. That's all it took for us to get to something that we can immediately go sell. If you like this video and if you want to see more videos that specifically help you pick an idea, plan it out, start executing on it, whether you're making nothing, a few $100, thousands, you want to go to the next level, this is the channel for you. Subscribe. It massively helps me out and it lets YouTube know that you want more videos like this in the future. I would really appreciate it. It costs you nothing. What's really there to lose? Other than that, I appreciate your time. I'll catch you next week. Stay disciplined.